Good morning, YouTubers. This is how today's order of business will go. The engine is bolted up to the transmission. The torque converter is free. The engine is set with number 1 at 0 degrees top dead center. The distributor is marked. Now I could have done this without marking the distributor, but sometimes it just makes it a little easier. So there's a black magic marker mark, and when I get this set over in there, this will face that magic marker mark. This little pointer on the top of the rotor button will face that mark, and that magic marker mark is going to face toward right back on the back of this motor. Actually, I've got a rag thrown over this so that I won't drop nuts and bolts down in there. Oh, I'm holding the distributor like it was the camera. So there's a little thing here. It's a vacuum line and a little oil pressure unit, and that mark will face right between those two toward the firewall. And then if I put it on just like that, once I put the distributor cap on there, I've got all the plug wires numbered, and it'll be pretty easy to put it all back together, have it be ready, just timed, except for, I'll make a few little fine calculations on it. But it'll pretty much be on there with it timed to crank. Now, one of the things I am going to want to get is a dwell meter, which I may have back in the barn back there, but if I do, it probably got soaked in the flood. Back in the old days, you'd use a dwell meter, and you could, on a Chevrolet, reach through a door and set your points. If you look at this set of points, let me get you in a good light. If you see that thing right there that has the little Allen wrench, well, that's actually the points. And there's a window that'll be a little like an aluminum door that slides open, and you can stick the head of a dwell screwdriver. They make a flexible screwdriver with an Allen wrench head on it that you can turn this, and this will adjust your points slightly. And if you look right there, you can see your points, and you may make out that there's 2 sections that touch together just beyond where that screw is, just in front of it. And if I can get you in the sunlight, and come out here in the sunlight. And there you go. So that, and you'll notice also there's a cam shaft. This shaft that drives the rotor button sits on has edges on it like a nut. Well, that's a cam shaft. Put a little spot of grease on that, just a tiny bit. When that turns over, that opens and closes those points. And when those points open and close, it breaks the fire. And then when it reconnects the fire, it'll do it to a particular spark plug at a particular rotation, and that's what makes your engine run. Instead of having all the fire firing at once where it wouldn't run, it has just the fire running that it needs to keep the engine turning. So my job is this morning is just to set this down in there, and I might, like I mentioned, that could use a little spot of grease on that shaft, so I might put a little spot of grease on that. I've got some clean this is that stuff that you use on wiring. This is called multi-purpose synthetic grease, but it's the same thing as, they got a name for, sometimes when you buy electronic stuff, they'll give you a little packet of lubricant that you can put on the wires to keep them from corroding. So what I'll do is just take a little bit of this on the finger, and I'll just reach in here and touch it to that camshaft. And then when I turn this, that will kind of coat the camshaft lightly with that lubrication. And you want to do it lightly because you don't want it to gum up the works. You just want it to be lubricated so that camshaft will ride, points will ride on that camshaft without wearing out the little nylon edges of it. Alright, so let's, some of these back in the day would have an oil port in the very early ones, but I don't see one on this one. So we're just going to drop this over in the car, over in the engine. I say drop it, we're going to stick it down that hole. Let's see if I can find a place where I can set you where you can possibly see. Pull that rag out of that hole, and the hole that's going to go into is right here. I'll raise you up so you can see the hole. And that little thing that looks like a Y is going to slip over the top lip of this distributor. Let's see what's down in here. Let's see if I can turn you all a little bit and get you. Let's see, this little thing right here needs to slide back. So what I do is, this distributor is going to turn, I believe it's going to turn clockwise when it goes down in there. And so I'm going to reach over with it, with this mark facing the point that I mentioned earlier where I want it to be facing. I'm just going to slip this down here. I'm about to move this thing. This thing right here is the throttle mechanism. It works off the accelerator pedal, and I hung it up here to get it out of the way, so you can take it, pull it down, pull it out of the way somewhere. There. This should let me be able to get this over in here. And if you watch that cap, you'll see it turn. You see that cap turn a little bit there. And now that point is right where I was talking about. I'm gonna a little flashlight shine over in there. Might be easier to reach from the other side. Okay, so right now you should be able to see that mark, that black magic marker mark, and see that that distributor rotor button is facing that mark, and that mark is facing right between those 2 points that I mentioned earlier. So that should be perfect to get that timed, and I'll tighten the bolt just to keep that from going anywhere. Hi, honey babe. Okay. Love you.